All right, I'm back out here messing with the 8BA flathead out of that 51 F1. Have the cylinders soaking in some WD-40. I sprayed, I guess, about a quarter can on this just to kind of let it sit a little bit. The most worrisome part that I see doing this is there's still a good bit of liquid in these 4 cylinders on that bank. And there's still a good bit of liquid in this one, and the last one. This one has drained down, which is good. Tells me that's probably not so stuck, but those others they're stuck. So they've had WD-40 sitting in there for 2 days now, and it's not drained, which is a pretty good indication that those things are super stuck. So I think today what I'm going to start doing, I'm going to start taking the front apart here, the pulleys, distributor cover, and the main crank pulley there. Got the water pumps, crank pulley, and then the distributor cover here. I was going to try to catch some of the garbage here. There's a lot of thick, matted up chaos going on here. Just to reveal the heads of the bolts, I've got to do a little bit of archaeological digging here. Stick this pulley puller, gear puller, whatever it's called, stick her on here. Try to anyway. There we go. That's it. Don't see anything alarming right off. I don't see any broken teeth or nothing stripped out on the cam gear here. I got an old piston sitting here. I was cleaning the pistons off to see if I could see a bore number stamped on them, and I don't see anything. I see the forward dot indicator on these two, but I don't see a standard or 20,000s or 30, 60 over. I don't see anything like that. But I do have my micrometer here, and the standard bore is 3.1875. And we're right there at it. So I'm going to call this one a standard bore. Of course, I'll clean it up more and do a little bit better examining, but right now it's looking standard. It's got a pretty good little ring ridge, not too bad. I can barely feel it on this one. I can feel it more so on this one. But I'll just be honing it. I'm not going to, like I mentioned in the first video, I'm not going to be doing extensive machine work on this thing. I'm going to do everything I can right here in this garage, including resurfacing all the valve seats. I'll be using an old valve and some sandpaper with a drill, and I'm sure that I'm going to catch a lot of flack, but that's how I'm going to do it. The other day when I got the heads off of it, I had a thermostat housing bolt break off here. All right, I got the welder set up here. Normally what I do is I'll take a junk bolt. In this case, I've got a really long bolt that I probably won't need. It's not very often I need a bolt this long, so what I'll do is I took the grinder, grinded a little bevel around it just to kind of give me some room for some weld bead to get in there. I'll take this bolt, hold it on there as straight as I can get it, and then I will weld it all the way around it as quickly as I can, but as thoroughly as I can. And as I'm doing that, it's going to get super hot, and that heat also is going to help get this thing out. So we'll give that a shot. So as you can see, it's coming right on out. Figured we'd go ahead in here and take the oil plug out, see if there's any oil in it. Dipstick doesn't show any oil. And also when we pulled the engine, I noticed there was a thing of oil sitting close to the truck. It looked like somebody had drained the oil. So I don't think if there's any, there ain't much. So plug is out. There ain't nothing dripping. I just wanted to check before I turned it upside down. So I am going to flip this thing over. I'll flip her over, and then we'll take the pan off of it. Might do it just like that. Ooh, that's a chunk of stuff there. This big pile of bug dirt just fell out of it. Not only the valves and the cylinders being stuck, seized, froze, locked up. Also, the oil idler gear here, it's got a lot of damage, like water damage, where it was so, water was sitting there. This is the bottom of the block here. The oil pump here, trying to get it out. I've already broke the oil pump. No big deal, it's replaceable. Can't get it out because those teeth on that oil pump gear are meshed with this idler gear, which goes to the back of the cam gear. Even the cam gear teeth have a little bit of pitting on them that I can see from here. All right, we'll see how this works out. You basically got the camshaft with a gear on the back of it. Then you got an oil idler gear that spins from the camshaft gear, and it turns the oil pump right here. It looks like the block's upside down right now, but it looks like it had about half full of water in there at some point. So water must have gotten in the oil galley. It doesn't look like the block was half full, but it looks like the back of this oil galley, or this oil area here, was about half full of water, maybe a quarter full. Anyways, it's got a 3/8 thread here to pull this little, it's like a pin that holds in this, I guess it's a bushing that holds in this idler gear. So I'm gonna try to get it out with a slide hammer. Basically, I just have a slide hammer with some 3/8 threaded rod, a nut, and some washers right here. It came out easier than I had anticipated. I'm hoping it's not
as corroded as it looks. Once I clean it up, maybe it won't be as bad, but I'm betting I will have to replace this gear right here. But the piece that the gear is on, the bushing or pin itself, it's not that bad. All right, I feel like I'm close to getting this oil pump out. Got underneath this gear here and wedged it with a screwdriver a little bit. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Wedge it up just a touch. Oh, come on. And there it is. This thing was seriously stuck. All right, I have an idea. I don't know if it'll work or not, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Anyways, got this flathead, trying to pull the valves out. It's always a pain in the ass to get valves out of these stuck flatheads. The valves are in a guide. The guide has a clip. The valves go down. They have their retainers on there. So normally if you pull the clip out, the whole valve assembly would come out. But these things are too corroded to do that. It just ain't happening. It's impossible. So I've already got 2 broken valves here. I got a few of them out that I was able to pry out the whole valve assembly. A few others, I was able to take the clips off, the retainers off the bottom and get the valves out, but now the guides and the springs and everything else is stuck in there. So what my idea is here that these valves that are seized in these guides, I'm going to take a grinder with a brush, clean off the surface of the valve head, and then weld a piece of 3/8 threaded rod to it, and then get a slide hammer and try to get the valve. If I can just get it up a little bit, that's all I need. We'll see. All right, so I'm gonna take this angle grinder here with a stiff brush and clean the surface off the top of these valve heads here, weld to them, and see if I can't slide hammer them out. To remove these pistons from this cylinder block. All of the 8 pistons are stuck, and I'm going to drive these things out with a piece of 5/8 inch rod and a small little sledgehammer. rod's in there, but I was able to wiggle it out of there. That's a I've already given up on this engine, I don't know how many times. But I just kept on tapping on it, and finally, I'm hoping it's serviceable. You know, I've got it now that I've got it taken apart and got the bores, I've got the pistons. Well, I still got 2 more to beat out here, but I'm close. I am close. And that is the last piston. All right, I brought the flathead block parts, all the engine parts, bell housing extension, the intake manifold. I got the crank here and the oil pan there. I got the heads laying here. Brought it over to a friend's shop. A friend of mine has one of these big cleaning vats here. I got the block sitting in here. I'm gonna leave it overnight, dump it down in there before I leave. But right now I'm working on cleaning all the small stuff like that. I already cleaned this stuff here. I still got to sandblast everything, of course, but got the crank there. I got the sludge plugs pulled out of it already, and I will get it in the vat here soon as well. But this stuff is caked on. It takes a lot of time. It's an all-day deal standing here brushing this stuff off here. It takes quite a bit of time. So that's what I'm doing right now. Check back in later. Sludge plugs. Probably the most important also in one of these 8BA style cranks. Just getting that cleaned out where the oil can travel through this crank. All right, I'm back home with the flathead parts. Took it today and cleaned up a lot of the parts here. I got them spread out on the table here. I'm just now about to get the block out of the back of the van with the hoist here. Got it mainly cleaned up. I still need to wire wheel it, but got all the caked on thick layer of grease that's the consistency of icing and cow manure. Got all that off there. Next I'll start sandblasting a few pieces like this. I made a inquiry on a bunch of parts, pistons, rod and main bearings, stuff like that. Got a few parts coming here shortly. There's the crank. Got all the sludge plugs pulled out of it. These things have 4 sludge plugs in it. There's one here, and there's 2 on the other side facing the other way up. Those things, they get plumb full of sludge inside of these, behind these journals here on the crank. Got that cleaned out today and blew it out with some air. I'll clean it out some more with some ether and take it to the pressure washer and pressure it out real good. Oil pan's cleaned up. Again, I'll pressure wash everything. Next step. First step today was to get all the sludge and grime and grit and manure off of the stuff. As you all have seen, this has been a really
tough project. Tearing this thing down has been a beast. This thing has been an absolute bear to tear down. Everything was stuck on it. It was mucked up, rusted up. Gears are pitted up. This has been an absolute beast. All right, that's going to wrap up the teardown of this engine here. I've still got to take this block here and wire wheel it really well, take it to the car wash, run some degreaser and pressure wash it really well. I've got the rods and the main caps and the rod caps and stuff sitting right here. I got them soaking in some WD-40 so they don't rust. I still have to wire wheel those things, get them cleaned up. I've got the new bearings and stuff like that on order. I've already checked everything. Got to get this stuff here sandblasted. So that's going to be some time there to get all this stuff blasted. The crank will go to the car wash with me as well. Just get a good high pressure wash on that thing and run some degreaser through all those oil galleys and sludge pockets and stuff inside there to make sure that the oil can flow good and clean through all the galleys on this block and through the crank. So that's going to be it. I appreciate you watching. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing and take a look at my other videos. Thank you.